I've got a lot of quotes I want to talk to you about, but just it can be really hard to get up and say something like very vulnerable and put yourself out there. And then for what, you know, I always tell people I'm following you on Instagram, but because you give me so much to look forward to and positivity, and then to be radical is an awesome kind of comment. But before we go into Q&A, there's something you said right at the end. Stay ready. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is to just keep showing up. So just to keep doing what you keep doing. I thought that was such an awesome quote. You want to expand on that at all before we go to questions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people think that there's some like big secret on how to be successful. And like, I want to remind people that there are so many different definitions of success. It's not all about titles and like financial. It's about getting to a point where you wake up every day and you're just like really glad to be doing what you're doing, and you're happy and joyful in doing that. And success is also it's about community. It's not just about yourself. It's about like bringing other people alongside of you and lifting other people up. I think that is an aspect of true success as well.
Well, then at the end, you kind of talked about that moment where you felt like you were getting all these calls, all the Facebook and Instagram and the Loft partnership and the Madewell partnership, all these partnerships. Was there ever a moment in your career where you're talking about success where it's like, this is the moment? Or has it been a gradual fade into success? Or would you call yourself a success? I love what you just said is about success there.
Yeah. I would definitely call myself a success. I
would, by the way. I wasn't questioning at all, but
like, you're a failure. No, I would definitely say that there was a huge turning point this past summer when all of the new attention came to my work as a result of the activism pieces I was making. But that's something that I've been doing for a while. It's just that people finally recognized that it was dope. So yeah, it has been a slow build. Like, I'm not an overnight success. Like, some people message me and think that it was like quick and it just happened. But like, I've been doing it for a while, as long of a while as you can say at 31. But so.
Well, and so you've been doing it for a while. How did you decide this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to be an independent artist. And was there a moment where you're doing something else? How'd you get into that?
So I've been creating things since I was a little kid. I've always been very artistic. It's always how I've expressed myself, but I didn't see it as a feasible career option until a lot later. I mean, growing up, I didn't see any other Black girls doing professional art or like being successful at art. So I just like didn't even think that someone like me could do that.
That's so powerful to say. You didn't see other people like you. So there's probably people that are watching this, even though you told the kids to leave, that are saying, I see a Black artist out there, and what you're doing for other people who you didn't have someone looking at.
Yeah, I actually just had a teacher who's been using my art in their lesson plans for the past couple of weeks, and they've been tagging me in all of these art pieces that these second graders have been making based off of my work. And I'm just like blown away.
Did you know the teacher? Or
no,
You?
stranger.
Yeah.
I mean, there's teachers over in the UK and England who are like using my stuff in their classes. Like, it's crazy to like to know people around the world are being educated by my work.
So there was that, and then what is it like to work with some of these big brands?
It's really exciting. It can also be really frustrating to have to fall in line with another company's like ethos or values. So, but it's also been, I've also been surprised at the power I have to like influence the projects in a good way. Like, I cannot name the brand right now. It's like, it's still a secret, but several things I'm designing are going to be like widely available. And I said, I'm like, I'm only going to do this project if you produce these garments ethically. Like, I don't want any like slave shop or sweatshop labor, like, you know, so, and they agreed to it. And they agreed to donate half of the proceeds to charity. Like, so I made these asks to this big company and they're like, sure, because we want to work with you. So it's cool to be able to try to like direct capitalism and like big business into a more like ethical place with my partnerships.
Do you have a favorite brand that you've worked with or a favorite project?
My favorite project recently has been one I did with Facebook. So Facebook hired me to do a piece of embroidery art in support of Black businesses. And it was widely shared on Facebook, but when I posted on my own page, like hundreds of people tagged Black-owned businesses in the comments, and people have been reposting the piece of art and doing the same thing, like encouraging people to tag businesses. So hundreds and hundreds of businesses have gotten shout outs as a result of this one piece. So that's really powerful and really meaningful to me.
Well, and I really get this sense of, as you're rising, you're pulling people with you. You're taking people with you. You're saying, tag someone else, tag another business. So I want to talk about another project you did here locally about a year ago, where you got a bunch of Black creatives together and said, we are here, use us as photographers, as designers, as speakers. And if you are a white person, please help us make sure that it's included. So talk to everyone about that Lexington project you did.
Yes. So the project was called Why Not Us? And it came about because I was frustrated with I feel like the art and design community in Lexington can be a bit homogenous, if you know what I mean by that. And I see like the same people getting the same opportunities and like not really breaking out of their creative circles to recognize other more diverse talent that exists here. So, but you know, I just was friends with and was aware of all these amazing Black creators, models, designers, photographers, marketing, brand managers that were not getting the respect that they deserved. So I gathered everyone in a Black-owned business, and I hired a Black photographer, Honey Sage Photo Co. Shout out, to shoot the project. And so we took this giant family photo. Basically. So, you know, there was no longer any excuse for people to say, well, I don't know a Black photographer. I don't know a Black artist. Like, I don't know who to hire for this. Like, I was like, I'm going to put a bunch of us in one place in one post. So you always have something to reference. And that just scratches the surface of the talent that exists in Lexington. Like, everyone obviously wasn't in that photo. But so yeah, that's why I initiated that project. And it's grown. I've had people in other cities say it inspired them to do the same thing. And people have gotten gigs out of it. So yeah, it's great.
Well, and thank you for that project, for pushing Lexington, for pushing people to say there's not an excuse. You know, you can find someone. So thank you for that. I see a lot of comments here about the mural you recently did. Tell everyone about that mural.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter mural.
Yes.
So that's probably my favorite mural I've done so far. I've been doing a lot of murals lately. I'm actually leaving to work on another one after I leave here. So the Black Lives Matter mural came about with the help of Prohibition and Lex Park, so the local parking authority, wanted a mural on the side of one of their parking garages. And John Winters of Prohibition was working with Lex Park to find an artist. And I had been talking to John Winters about basically I wanted him to utilize more Black muralists. And so he's like, hey, I have the perfect person for this mural, Lex Park. And they tapped me to design it. And the content of the mural was inspired by Miss Shady Couture, who is a Black drag queen in Lexington. And she, during the pandemic, wrote and performed this amazing spoken word piece called My Black is Beautiful. And so I used her poetry to anchor the piece at the top. And then I asked a bunch of my Black friends in Lexington to give me words to fill out the rest of it. Like, my Black is blank. So that's where the 4 large words in the middle come from. So I wanted to design something that was deeply meaningful, really bold, to confront this, but also colorful and cheerful and smile-inducing at the same time, to make the message more approachable and uplifting as well. So so I feel like I accomplished that.
It's definitely a smile producing. I mean, and it's also your signature style.
Yeah.
So talk about, how did you develop that signature style? Has it changed over the years?
Yes. So parts of my style have stayed the same in terms of my utilization of words. I studied writing primarily in college. I did not major in art. I minored in art. My parents would not let me major in art. But then they're laughing now because I'm like making a living as an artist. But anyway, so I majored in writing, and so like written communication and writing my thoughts down has always been really important to me. And I think words are a really relatable bridge into fine art. So that's why I incorporate messages and big words and thoughts into my art. So that part has stayed the same. I don't think that'll ever change. But I would say my work has gotten more bold and in your face and more colorful. I think I've also like simplified my style and streamlined it into something that's really recognizable. And I think that's just like a result of a lot of osmosis of like art books and classes, and just like my contemporaries and peers, and just like, I don't know, just figuring out what I like and what works and what I'm good at and what doesn't work.
Well, and it's definitely very bold. And when I see something, I can say like, that's a pretty strange design. I can recognize it, on the recent partnership with Loft and Madewell. You look at it and you see it.
Yeah.
And so you said something about you put words into your art and they're bold. I think that has been really meaningful. A lot of your embroidery has words. So that definitely comes through.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you probably can't read all the comments, but I did want to take a second and just, you're getting wonderful talk. I'm in tears. Loved this poem. Can we please reshare it? Yes, Ciara, being a part of this project was so empowering. So I just wanted to make sure, because we can't see all of them and hear all of them, that you are feeling the love from the attendees out there. And then someone asked, has there been, and you kind of already gave it away, but has there been a brand that you have struggled to work with?
Oh, like, I mean, we're going to drop names of who's been problematic?
I don't want to give any of that away, but how do you deal with that as an artist?
I mean, at this point, like, I'm extremely confident, like more confident than I've ever been, in pushing back when I don't like the way that something is going. Like, I don't want to be like too specific. But I mean, I had a client who I was designing like a pride, a queer pride-based design, and like they wanted to arrange the colors in a way that wasn't true to how the queer flag is actually like represented, and they wanted to make that change because it was more like aesthetically pleasing. I was like, no, like, we're going to respect this community and how they represent themselves, and so we're going to keep it the way it is. And I like, presented my reasons why, my research and like whatever, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing that research and like letting us know. And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised when you just like confidently push back for the right thing and for the right reasons.
Well, and you just said something there too that was in your talk earlier that I think that's really important. You said, I'm more confident now than I've ever been. And you kind of talked about in your talk being an introvert and having to
Yeah.
overcome all of that.
Yeah.
So how did you get to where you are now being confident?
Yes. So I know you didn't like mean it this way, but I
No.
don't think being introverted is something to overcome.
Yeah.
Maybe like overcoming the way that like you limit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like being introverted is so great, and
Mm-hmm.
it just means that I am drained by being around other people. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like super shy. I'm turned on. I'm able to like turn it on and be energetic when I need to. But yeah, I I don't know, I think I just like as I stopped caring so much what other people thought of me, um, and I just, unlearned that fear that has been inside of me for most of my life to not be myself and to shrink myself to make other people more comfortable. Yeah, so just unlearning
Mm-hmm.
that fear and just like, I don't know, my confidence is just kind of like naturally grown and built with age.
Yeah, and no, thanks for calling that out. Definitely didn't mean to be overcome introverts,
Yeah.
but it's definitely something um, to talk about. I can definitely be an introvert sometimes as well. So being more confident, I love what you just said about you're just you don't have to apologize now and so all of that. I also saw another really good comment here, and keep your questions coming. We have about 1 minute left of questions before we go to announce our winner of the co-working space, and then we will do our song. So this is from Kristen, based on your prominent embroidery work, called out in the post, talk, do nothing, repeat, what would you advise the first step for someone who doesn't want to fall into that cycle?
Wow. I would identify, well, like look around at your friend group, your professional group. I mean, pretty much in any vocation or job you're in, you can figure out how to call more diverse people in next to you. If none of your friends are people of color or queer people or like immigrants, like if all of your friends look like you and sound like you and think like the same way that you do, then you need to figure out how to change that and how to go into some spaces that maybe make you a little uncomfortable, where you can meet some new people and learn something new. So yeah, I would say the first step is to look around. And yeah, to really like wake up every day and maybe put a post-it note on your mirror or your rear view mirror, like reminding you to call people in and to figure out what you can do to dismantle all these systems of oppression that we've existed under from the beginning of time. Like, what can you do? How can you use your privilege? It's going to take an everyday intentional way of living. It's going to take that radical intentionality to break something so strong down.
Well, I think that's an awesome way to
Yeah.
end. Thank you for giving that advice. Any last comment you want to say to the group before we end and go to the beautiful music?
Yeah. Stay ready. And yeah, be radical.
Well, you had 4 awesome things about love yourself, stay ready, do something small, or even what you said of just simply showing up and continuing to do the work can be radical. So it's been an honor to have you on this stage today. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you've got so much work going on. And so just to take the time out for everyone to listen and learn a little bit more about you was truly a pleasure today.